I'm going to start with a poem called Topographical Body. A wandering Jew, a little Middle East, a bit Southwest. I bite off paper maps and trail their cud behind me as I go. Each pasture holds my hooves with some promise of safe grazing, some pool of water I could draw from till my skin sags loose with time. But still, I cannot stand. The tired feet stay greedy. I pocket my strange constellation of welts and scars, this treasure map, a Ouija board of body. Help me draw the lines from scar to scar. Let it paint a face, some semblance of my saftas. When you unroll my limbs out on the table, do you see an ancient scroll? Take a look, is it biblical or idiot's parable? Another woman who still can't speak her name. But then, maybe, that's biblical too. Cut my breasts and whisper to me of a heroine's quest. Hold down my wrists and keep me still till I remember that the topography of body is the storyteller I'll never need to be. That I don't always need to try so hard to say the hard things out loud. Jagged little narratives of forearm, the near-death still tattooed under my neck. If our bodies have always been the maps, what choice do we have but to go deeper in? A little North African, a little American, the cool red of veins thrum mothers through my thighs. And none of it will matter when the humming stops. I can write my lines and I can read them too. Call them loud as prayers, orgasms to the sky, but not without this body, not without my weary, my wonderfully transient body. So that.
This is kind of a bit of a commentary, I guess, on how there are a lot of organizations out there that claim to be doing work in the climate adjacent area, and at this point in the trajectory of climate change, it's kind of pretty obvious what needs to happen and what actions need to be taken, and there's a lot about certain institutional cultures and the language that they use that obscure that. So I guess this is an ode to jargon. Community stakeholder call, Tuesday, 10:15 a.m. Thank you all so much for coming. I'm just gonna set some community expectations real quick before we get started. We're all here today because we want to have a really productive dialogue, so let's all make an effort to avoid using inflammatory language, yeah? That's not to say there aren't acceptable topics. Issues exist. Concerns around these issues, which do exist. Certain things have happened at certain points in time. To clarify some confusion that's been swirling around, we are including an industry perspective on this call today. This is a stakeholder call, and while acknowledging the diversity of viewpoints that have been represented to management, we think it's important to represent all stakeholders, which includes stakeholders with publicly traded stakes.
Focus less on the product and more on the environment it is in. A dented tin can in the MoMA is art, but in a garage is trash. As creators, it's important to think of ourselves as the tin can. What does our environment look and feel like? On a micro level, it's our home, our creative space, our four walls. On a macro level, it's the city we're in, the people we surround ourselves, the content you're consuming. Our environment should provide inspiration and a place to create freely. It's important to take a step back and really look at our surroundings. So think about your set and setting and ask yourself, are you art or are you trash?
What do bees want? Is a question I've never asked myself or any expert. I know they need to gather pollen and nectar, need water and shelter, though they can make their own of any hollow place. But as to want, who can say? I say I need to take my vitamins, apply sunscreen, eat greens, and exercise. I want self-care, something I think I deserve for what I do not know. Our bodies are built to decay. I opened the hive only as often as I was told to check brood, the health of the queen. I did not know what I was looking for, but trusted diligence would keep us from disaster. They wanted me out of their way, so I closed it all up, left them to their desires.
Tashli, after Adrian Rich. I don't know much of faith or of my people, but I know of hands and feet, bread and calluses, the work it takes to get through the day, the break of the sea against the will of the shore, the break of language against the grain of history, the language through which we survive, how my blood and bones continue to pray when my mouth cannot, how I bless my weaknesses on their way to the wilderness, how they return brazen and kind in the next year, how the world mends, no matter how broken, how the stones sank only from up here on the banks, from the seabed they are flying.